Anyways, we've been having a problem recently with censorship spreading around the internet. Recently in the UK, we had a big situation where they are now requiring people to have facial verification for an AI to determine their age to figure out whether or not they are allowed to access certain sites like Discord and say YouTube. Spotify has even done such a thing where recently they're also asking for age verification to access in the UK. This is not only them, because on top of all that, we recently heard that Australia themselves have been now requiring YouTube to go and not allow for people under the age of 16 to make social media accounts with them. So now they are banning accounts on YouTube in Australia. UK is not allowing people in unless they process facial recognition. And now on top of it all, the same corporation YouTube is using AI to determine, based off of the US citizens' video feed, whether or not they're under the age of 18. They're going to predict whether or not you are of age just simply based off of the videos you watch, which is crazy. So on top of everything that's been going on, we are now having to go and deal with the fact that even in the US, if the YouTube thinks that you are a child because you accidentally left Minecraft running in the background after you went through and watched like 20 hours of stock market videos, they just might flag you and tell you that you need to provide some form of identification so that you can continue using YouTube. Now, for a lot of content creators, that's not as big of an issue as it sounds. For people such as me, who have gained access to certain things early, such as the ability to live stream on YouTube, or even gain the ability to generate and create advertisements for YouTube, it is a common practice that's been started back in, 2020s? That where they required such a the thing where you had to provide a license, but that's more just because they don't want you just throwing random crap out there on their site online without verification of you. So that's actually to a degree normal. What's not normal is the logic of requiring anyone who creates an account to even just view the content to be forced into a situation like this. That's a big issue in my opinion. And honestly, I don't think, that the idea of having us require an ID is a big issue. It's that the people that we're giving the ID to is the biggest problem. We all have known that companies such as Sony, Google, Microsoft have all had huge data leaks before. So do you think it's really a smart idea for us to be actively giving information like that en masse to companies that can't even keep track of their own data? We recently had a data breach with a company, what was it? Tea app or something like that, which was a app solely designed for like shit talking your exes and stuff on websites, that required for every female that joined to show proof that them being a female with a license. That got fully exposed and then doxxed. So every single person that has been on that site, their full address, their picture and everything has been shown to the world. I don't like the idea of private companies fully having access to our content, our full-on legal names, or even our facial identifications. That type of information should be only given in very specific circumstances, not just for a simple age verification. And truth of the matter is, they need to come up with a way better way to do this, where it's like back in the old days, where you would go around, you little Timmy over there would ride your bike up to the local bar, the bouncer would look at you and said, "Hey kid, you want to get in this jiggle joint I see? Well, let me see some ID. You go over there, you whip out that wallet, you go through your stuff and be like, here, mister. And then he looks, and then you have the crayon saying that you're over 21, and it's like, ah, you scamp, and lets you on in. See, the point of what I'm getting at with that is just straight up, it is a situation where the guy looks at it. He doesn't keep a copy of it. He just looks at it and says, here you go. We're done. Have a good day. Places like Google, and I know this one specifically because of the stuff I've had to do with Google, they keep verification documents. If you go and are required to give a license for places like Google, in this case YouTube, they will have a full-on picture of your driver's license, which you can actually remove if you really want to, but then you lose verification status, that they just have plastered there for whenever they need it. So you got to be very careful with how they do things, and the idea of you going and keeping this information just stored somewhere is not a safe idea. It should be a simple verification where they look at it, they say, okay, and then they throw it away. And I think that's going to be the biggest issue that we're going to have to deal with going forward, is having to go and get companies and different websites to go through a process of checking and verifying without ever actually keeping any real data. And that's going to be the biggest problem of them all. Now, like I was saying, though, there's a couple of funny things that came out of all of this, though. In the case with the UK situation, they have done this great thing here where they began using things such as Gmod and others to recreate the facial identifications. So, you're using Gmod to get past age verifications with facial recognition. This isn't the only one. There's also talks of it being done through things via Days Gone, where they would go and physically use Days Gone to show it. I got one for that over here as well. Give me a second. In this case, they would literally go and take pictures like this to, pictures like these to show off how it's done. And then you can go and be like, turn left, turn right, and you just like gradually shift the camera. It works really well. So I think that another thing that's going to happen from this is it's also going to cause a boost in the logic of people using video generation of AIs to go and bypass these security measures. Because if you think it's easy, or it's going to be a situation where they can just bypass it, kids are bypassing it, let me rephrase that, with just simple video game camera shots. Imagine if you can go and say, hey, ChatGPT, I need you to generate me a video of a dude slightly facing to the left, then slightly facing to the right, then looking straight forward, giving a smile, and then slightly opening his mouth. Because that's what's going to happen. So what this has proven to me more than anything is these methods, these things that they're doing to quote unquote be better to help flag kids that are not supposed to be on the internet or on social media aren't going to work. If they aren't going to work, then why are we going it through so many hoops to do it? Does that make sense? There's no reason for us to go and use methods that we've immediately slapped down because they're not going to work. So why push them out to begin with? But yeah, that is the current situation with YouTube. On August 13th, guys, be very prepared because it's going to probably get worse and worse. I don't imagine this being something that we're going to get better from. I imagine that there's going to be a harder push for censorship on the internet, and we need to start preparing now. But if we want to prepare right, we need to go and discuss how it's done, not when it's done. Or if it's done, because I think that if it's going to be done part, we're kind of past that. So, YouTube brings AI age estimation to the US, and some users will need to show ID. YouTube's age estimation system is coming to the US, and even if you are well over 18, you might have to show your ID, you might have to show Google your ID to prove it. Excuse me there. Ugh. Starting August 13, YouTube will roll out an age estimation model in the US to determine if a user is 18 or not, regardless of birthday tied to the account. The model uses AI and a range of signals, including YouTube activity and account age, to guess the user's actual age. It will also base its decision off of types of videos a user searches for and the categories in which they watch. So this will all essentially come down to, if you watch a bunch of things on YouTube that are adult oriented, it's not going to track you. If you accidentally leave your thing on to image caps of Gumball or some shit, it's going to go and call you out right then, right there. And for me, this is going to be a problem because I will just go turn on YouTube, fall the fuck asleep. 4 to 5 hours later, I'll wake up and I'll have no idea what I'm watching. And when it hits that point, oh boy, I can see them already calling my name. So anyways, yeah, it's going to be a big issue. I think we're going to be in for some interesting moments. If it decides you're a teen, YouTube will automatically apply content restrictions and digital well-being tools, limiting personal ads and reduce exposure to problematic content. So when I read that as they are going to essentially, as I think they called it originally, was shadow banning, where instead of allowing you to view all the content being created, they're going to like forcibly critique your content to the point where you won't even realize it's happening unless you provide the proper age verification, which I believe is going to be a very interesting situation in the future. But on the same time, I think it's kind of good that we're getting some of these kids off the internet, if I'm going to be honest with you. Not every child needs to be telling me exactly how things should work, especially when they're 10 years younger than me, but that's a different story altogether. Oh man. Google owned platforms acknowledge that it could get estimations wrong, or at least acknowledge that the users may believe they got it wrong. I don't like that phrasing. That phrasing is just straight up calling people out. You will have the option to verify your age through government ID, selfie, or credit card. I am not giving my credit card to Google if I do not have to. If you believe our age estimation model is incorrect, YouTube explained in a wait. You'll have the option to verify your age if you believe our estimation model is incorrect. YouTube explained in support update. So yeah, like it says, you will be essentially age restricted based off of the content you watch, because it will believe that you are of said age. And then if you are not, you can go and protest it by showing your true ID or whatever they're going to use for it, and then essentially be like, okay, fine, you caught us. These teen protections aren't new, but now they'll apply to a broader range of users thanks to this tech. Listen, I'm going to be honest. I think that with the current rate that we've been going, I don't think that the censorship on the internet is actually there to protect teens. I think that it's a scapegoat, and it's a way for them to go and actively pretend that they're doing something for a just cause. So that way, when people complain, they can be like, oh, so you don't want to protect the kids? And then they have some sort of bullshit claim that they can make the entire time. It's weasel words. That's what it comes down to. YouTube has used among other countries of the same for some time. The company said adding that to roll out in the US will be gradual, but the move could spark privacy concerns, especially since getting flagged could require adults to send personalized documents to Google just to ask whether or not just to access certain content. Yeah. Hello, welcome. The new system comes as age verification has caused a brouhaha. Oh, that's a word. In the UK, where the users have been required to verify their age to access mature content across websites, despite over 350,000 people signing a petition arguing that the UK government to repeal the Online Safety Act, which, to my knowledge, they've actually went and said, yeah, we don't care, we're doing it anyways. So that kind of sucks. The Labour government says it has no plans to repeal it. All right. Others have protested by spoofing verification systems, including using a high-quality renders of Norman Reedus from Death Stranding to trick the facial recognition, which we talked about. As YouTube doubles down on YouTube safety, creators and viewers alike are bracing for tighter content control and more awkward ID uploads. That's crazy. Because here's the thing. I find it weird because I always looked at YouTube as one of those few places left where it's like the censorship was kind of, what's the phrasing, lower. And I don't mean censorship as in like the content was not being allowed. I mean like where you weren't required to give an identification. On Twitch, if you want to do stuff like stream, you are required to give some form of identification going forward, especially whenever you hit the stages where they're asking you to make money. YouTube, you just drop stuff in and you let it go. And you can actually, even in YouTube, you can hit a verification where they can do payouts and stuff without ever once supplying some sort of ID until like you actually need to pull the money out. So like you can verify your channel and prove that it's a real person behind it just by the sheer amount of content that you put into it. So yeah, I think that this is going to be a very interesting situation. I think it's going to happen, and I think that this is going to be a problem of not if it happens, but when it happens. And I think we should be thinking about what will happen afterwards. There is a possibility that it could be a situation where we have to deal with the government and figure out a better way of giving out this information to companies, because truth of the matter is they should not be having this information to begin with, especially in a way in which they keep it forever. That's the biggest problem. But the other option is, and it's kind of just like how the open market works, if everyone starts hating something enough, someone else will make something just like it, and everyone will move